Hi, I'm Justin. Welcome to Just Shaves. Starting off this channel, I'm going to be focusing primarily on double-edged safety razors as they pertain to head shaves for those of us with sensitive skin. First and foremost, I wanted to thank JC and John for putting me up to this. A couple of my buddies online were recommending that I start a channel and just share some of the things that I've learned in my journey so far. So been using a double-edged safety razor for all my head shaves for just under 2 years now. Prior to that, I had been using a cartridge razor for around 4 years or so. When I was using the cartridge razor, it was, shaving was actually just a chore. It wasn't something I ever felt like I was able to look forward to. Between the tugginess, the skin irritation, the mist patches, it was really just something I had to do to keep myself presentable. But around 2 years ago, discovered double-edged safety razors. Wasn't really sure where to start. I kind of just picked out the one that looked affordable and interesting on Amazon and, ordered that and decided to play around with it. And not knowing all the things that I've learned over the last 2 years, I kind of just jumped right into it and decided to try it out. That was probably the worst head shave I've had just because I've learned so much about prepping my skin and having other, more effective razors than the one I used the first time. But even then, it was so much better than the cartridge razor that I knew it was something I wanted to invest a little bit more time and energy into learning a little bit more about. So this channel, again, I just kind of wanted to share some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that have worked well for me over the last couple of years. Seems obvious, but one of the main goals that I try to have with each and every one of my head shaves is to really just get in and out of my shave without causing any additional irritation to my skin. Double-edged safety razors end up doing this a lot better than cartridge razors because there's only one blade contacting your skin at any one point of your shave. But with that in mind, I just try to be mindful about prepping my skin beforehand, the direction in which I'm shaving. So I'm black and I have really curly, thick hair that grows in. I don't really have the luxury of, lathering up and just ripping a razor all up and down my head in every different direction without having some consequences. So I just have to be mindful of those things. For myself, I try to get in and out with 2-pass shave. I always shave with the grain. Some parts of my skin, I'm able to go across the grain, but for me, it's not really worth the risk to go shave against the grain and get that, baby butt close smooth, because all that's doing for me is introducing an opportunity for me to have more skin irritation. So starting out, some of the things I wish I had known was, which type of razor was going to work best for me. What I didn't know is that every razor on the market is going to shave completely differently from one another, and it's based on a couple different factors. So I'll hold up one as an example. So right here I have the RazoRock Game Changer. This one's going to be stainless steel. I personally have a titanium handle on it as well, but some of the factors that are going to change from razor to razor that are going to completely impact the shave. One, how large is the gap between the blade itself and the safety bar you have? That's called the blade gap. The larger that blade gap is, the more of your hairs is going to be able to pick up on each pass, but also the more likelihood you have of catching some of your skin in that process. Another measurement is called blade exposure. That's really going to be how far that blade's sticking out past the shaving plane. Again, the more exposure you have, the more hairs you're knocking down, but it's also more likelihood of you knocking down some of your skin as well. And the difference from one razor to another, sometimes it's hard to see with the naked eye. We're talking like hundreds of a millimeter difference. But those are two factors. Another one's going to be the angle at which the blade's sitting. Some razors are going to be designed with the blades, relatively flat. And then when you're holding it, you're going to hold it at I guess is a more steeper angle. I always forget. Other razors are going to have some type of bend to the blade where the blade itself is bending. So you're just going to have to hold it at a different angle. Another factor to think about is how heavy is the razor. All these razors can often come in different material options. As I mentioned, this one's stainless steel, but there's others made in aluminum, titanium, some made out of brass. Lighter razors, because it's obviously a little bit on the lighter side, there's not as much gravity pushing into your skin. So with that, I found that a lot of lighter razors can actually help you when it comes to the skin irritation department. On the flip side, heavier ones because it has that little bit of extra momentum, you can sometimes get a much smoother shave, just kind of letting the razor do the work, so to speak. Every razor, like, there's a spectrum between, a mild shave and an efficient shave. Mild's going to be on the side where, it's really soft on your skin, but maybe isn't knocking down as many of your hairs as it could be. Efficient's going to be on the other end, where it's just, taking down a ton of your hair, giving you the closer shave you can get. Another term that comes up is aggression. Efficient and aggression aren't necessarily the same thing. They often go hand in hand, but it's not necessarily the same thing. There's tons of razors out there, like the unicorn razors, that are really efficient but feel soft on your skin. And on the flip side, there's some razors that feel really, really mild on your skin but are more efficient than what you think. And there's also some that are just rough, not fun to use, and don't shave that well. So those are the ones you want to avoid. So again, with the priority of leaving your shaves without getting any skin irritation, obvious question would be, what level of aggression razor would work for you? And the answer is, you just kind of have to figure that out yourself, because everyone's skin and everyone's hair type is going to be different. But I will say, generally speaking, if you're going to be a person that's going to shave 7 days a week, no matter what, that kind of simplifies what you're looking for, because every day your shave conditions are going to look the same. You're going to have, just 1 day's worth of growth in your skin. It's going to feel just like you shaved the day before. So if you have any irritation, hopefully it's, irritation that can heal up pretty easily over the 24-hour period. So if you're in that boat where you're shaving every single day, I would aim for something that's going to be more on the mild to medium aggression efficiency level. Really just, again, to prioritize leaving your shaves without having any irritation. If you're going to be shaving every day, getting the closest possible shave shouldn't be the biggest of your concerns to begin with. And on the flip side, if you know for a fact you're never going to shave on back-to-back days, whether you only shave every 3 days or you shave once a week, in that case, I'd recommend having, maybe a medium to efficient razor. Again, really just with the priority of getting in and out of your shaves a little bit quickly. If you have a razor that's way too mild for you, what you'll end up doing is you'll end up doing more passes than you want to do. So rather than doing 2 passes with an efficient razor, you might be doing 3 or 4 with a less efficient razor. And all that extra blade contact on your skin is, really just introducing more opportunities for you to end up with having some skin irritation. So those would be my general recommendations. Your hair type, your skin type, that all plays into it, but also just what your shave frequency looks like, how often you shaving in a given week. Folks like myself, I have days where I shave back-to-back days because I'm in the office both days. But then I also have long weekends that I, maybe just put a hat on and don't worry about it as much. In my case, I recommend having either a really efficient option and a mild option, or possibly even an adjustable razor. And I'll share an example of what that looks like. Having a razor that's about as efficient as your skin can tolerate is great when you have multiple days of growth, but then you don't necessarily need that the following day. Again, a lot of those razors that get that efficiency is by having that blade exposure and that blade gap. And if you're going after, just 1 day's worth of growth with a large gap, that's just introducing more blade directly onto your skin, and that's something you want to try to avoid doing. Here's an example of an adjustable razor. So this is the Merkur Progress right here. And the way this one works is it's adjustable by really just raising this top cap here, which is going to increase the blade gap and blade exposure as you're going. And this is really an awesome option for those of us that shave on different days or have different shave frequency, because you can have a more aggressive, efficient razor one day, and on the next day when you don't need it as much, you can dial it right down to being, more on the mild side, so to speak. Another thing that's really awesome for having an adjustable razor is, even if you are shaving with a very routine cycle, like you're a person that shaves every day or every 2 days, when you buy an adjustable razor, you're going to be able to find a setting that works for you. Buying a fixed angle razor, fixed gap, fixed blade exposure, that razor may or may not work well for you. So every razor, I think everyone is going to be able to get a shave with any razor, but the question is, are you getting the best shave you could possibly be getting? So that's just something to keep in mind when I was starting out. A couple of the razors I'd recommend right out of the gate, if you were to just jump right into this first time, look into an adjustable or possibly like the Rockwell 6C, because it's going to be similar to a standard three-piece razor, but you're going to have just different blade base plate options that are going to allow you to change that gap and change that exposure. In terms of other gear that you need to start out with, if you're just jumping into it for the first time, you don't have to go completely overboard. Blades are going to cost you anywhere from 10 to 15 cents a blade. That's another attractive thing compared to the cartridge razors, because it's so much more affordable. And there's hundreds of thousands of different blades out there. I personally don't get super into trying to try each and every one. I just kind of figure out what works for me and stick with it for the most part. But if you're buying a new modern razor, they're going to typically come with 5 to 10 blades anyways. Start there, and then if you try those, don't like them, try a sampler pack where you can get a variety of different blades, and once you find one that works for you, just keep using it, or can keep experimenting out however you want to. Stumble into any of them that immediately don't work for you, toss them. They're 5 to 10 cents, so don't worry about it too much. And with that, on this channel, again, I'll be showcasing some of the razors I already own. I don't really care to push any specific razors out to anyone else, because what works for me might not work for the next person. And when you get into this hobby, that's really the fun, is trying to figure out what works for you. You don't necessarily need to have a huge collection of razors. You might just want to have 1 or 2 that works really well for you. If you're just getting into this and you don't really want to make a hobby out of it, you just want to find something that works for you, you might only end up purchasing like a single adjustable razor that works well and is reliable, and you don't have to go and try out a bunch of different razors. You can kind of just find what works for you and move on from there. But with that, look forward to showcasing some of the razors I own, and as well as the techniques that I use when I shave. So thank you all, and I'll see you on the next one.